move on now to Senator Saguisag was very excited when we first invited him to attend this forum, to participate, but he regrets that he cannot join us in the forum today. He actually still practices and has to be at the hearing this afternoon. So he's still very active in the legal profession. We have, however, been in touch with him and have asked him to share with us some of his thoughts on the topic of today's discussion. So let me read his very brief message to us. Quote, I wish someone would pick up my point that Solicitor General Calida himself may not be in compliance with what he demands in the Kenkoy Waranto petition. These are his words. Indeed, in past years, by the first week of May, labas na ang mga SALNs. The deadline was the last day of April. Ngayon, second week na, wala pa. Was it because of the wholesale non-compliance with Section 7 of RA number 3019 on income earned, expenses incurred, and taxes paid last year? Question mark. That was his message to us. We emailed him afterwards and asked Senator Saguisag for further statements that he would like to share with us this afternoon. And this was his reply. Maybe I can comment on the hypocrisy of it all. The Solgen says the CJ failed to comply with Section 7 of RA number 3019, requiring all government personnel to report their income earned, expenses incurred, and taxes paid the previous year. This is what Section 7 of RA 3019 states. Every public officer within 30 days after the approval of this act or after assuming office and within the month of January of every other year thereafter, as well as upon the expiration of his term of office or upon his resignation or separation from the office, shall prepare and file with the office of the corresponding department head, or in the case of a head of department or chief of an independent office, with the office of the President, or in the case of members of the Congress and the officials and employees thereof, with the office of the Secretary of the corresponding House, a true, detailed, and sworn statement of assets and liabilities, including a statement of the amounts and sources of his income, the amounts of his personal and family expenses, and the amount of income taxes paid for the next preceding calendar year. Provided that public officers assuming office less than 2 months before the end of the calendar year may file their first statements in the following months of January. That's Senator Saguisag quoting RA 3019. Senator Saguisag continued by saying that he has copies of the statements of Digong and Josie, Secretary Solicitor General Calida, showing that neither has complied with Section 7 of the Tolentino Law, which the SOCGEN hammered on in his Kenkoy Waranto petition. These are his words. Talk of seeing the mote in another's eye, but missing the beam in one's own. The law may be fair on its face, but should not be administered with an evil eye and an unequal hand, lest we thwart the human and constitutional right to equal protection. Our comment to this was, we note that these statements were in line with the contents of a letter that Senator Saguisag had written to the Daily Inquirer and published on May 2. I quote, the Venerable Senator Arturo M. Tolentino authored RA 3019 in 1960, the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. Solicitor General Jose Calida correctly stated in his co-waranto petition that the cited clause, Section 7, remains in effect. I agree, Senator Saguisag said. I agree but disagree that non-compliance with it is a measure of integrity to the extent of raising it to an impeachable level. I have asked my students over the years to show me proof of compliance by those in government. I have raised the ante by a vow of 90% passing. No one has submitted such proof. I cannot believe that all those in government are therefore lacking integrity and should be removed from office. the non-compliance does not comprise an impeachable offense. Else, all impeachable and other officials may have to be removed from office. In the annual reporting published in the media, which I expect to see early this May for 2017, I have yet to see anyone disclosing income, expenses, and taxes as required by Section 7 of RA 1319, which remains a good law. In 1989, we added net worth, thus SAL, S-A-L, became SAL-N. If the Solicitor General or anyone can show me proof of compliance with Section 7 of the 1960 Tolentino Law, I promised my students I'd eat it. Government should take more seriously the review and compliance procedure, Section 10 of RA 6713, the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards of Public Officials and Employees, which also makes, in its Section 12, the Civil Service Commission, not the Ombudsman, the lead agency in a primarily administrative undertaking to be criminalized only in case of repetition and failure to correct any lapse. One indeed can walk with only a 1 peso fine under RA 6713 for a non-impeachable enormous as to affect the core of government functions. Now, Senator Saguisag's latest email to us ends with these statements. May lose sin is being too young. 57, she was 52 when she became the Chief Justice. But C.J. Roberts of the U.S. Supreme Court was 50 when so appointed in 2005 and is only 63 today. The justices should focus on what they are paid to do. Decide cases, not waste their time in turf quarrels and cat fights. Nota bene, I was 47 when given a signed Supreme Court appointment in late January 1987, which I declined. So this was his message to us, and we may discuss it later after hearing from the other speakers. Unfortunately, he will not be able to answer the questions we may have for him.